Welcome, all of you, all of us. As I was saying to the ones who were here a couple of minutes ago, I would love to start this session with a little, let's call this a heart space meditation for ease of understanding. It'll just be a couple of words for a minute or two. Well, let's see how many minutes. So, if that's all right with you, I would just invite all of us to stop whatever it is that we're doing and be present in this space. Be present in the field. Really be here. Take the time to arrive. Take this moment. That may be the only moment in your day where you stop and sit with yourself. And just pay attention. Just observe your breath. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to make it deeper, make it faster, nothing. Just sit with it kindly and observe. Observe who you are at this present moment. And breathe. And I will invite all of us to place our attention, our awareness, our mind's eye into our heart space. And once again, just be with your heart space. Be in your heart space. Feel your heart space. Feel the flow of love and light and information that goes in and out, that swirls around it. And in the next breath you take, sense that all that flow is now gone. It passed. And you can sit in stillness, in that deep, profound, and peaceful stillness of being who you are. Just for a moment. Allow yourself to be present, to be connected to your heart, to source, or however you want to call it, and to one another here in this space, the storytelling space of the Renaissance explorers. We can all take a deep breath and open our eyes whenever it feels right for you. Thank you. And I think I'll pass it on to Nikki right away. Who is still coming back to us. So you can talk about what do we have planned for this session?
Thanks, Anna. Maybe we can also do a facilitation choosing at some point, but I can first share what I had in mind, and we can either take it or forget about it. So I was thinking maybe first we can start with a round of check-ins, what we are bringing here today, and sharing how this space could be useful to you, either this session or next session. How can we be of service to you, and what are you bringing? And we can all just share a topic or two, and we can decide later whether to take it up or not collectively. And then if we feel like doing that, and if anybody volunteers, we can jump into what Michael suggested, to start creating a video montage about how we are participating in seeds, how we found seeds, what we like about seeds, what we don't like about seeds. He's collected a lot of questions, and they're on the forum. I can later share it with you in the chat. And if anyone feels like it, we can already do the recordings of answering those questions. Really just, you don't have to really think about it so much, whatever comes to you. You can even look at it as a practice session, and if you're not satisfied with it, you can do another round at home and then do a recording and then upload it to your Google Drive. So that's basically my suggestion for today. But there's no pressure really. If we feel like it, we're doing it. Otherwise, whoever has a better idea, we can also go with that. So maybe if does anyone have any questions or comments at this point? Then I suggest we choose a facilitator. So we can all put a name in the chat. Can be anyone. And then we'll press enter together. I'll count back. 3, 2, 1. Wow, I'm not sure if anybody is winning here.
That's first. That's interesting.
Well, I think Bongi, but
Are there 3 bongies?
I was just about to say
Where's the third?
I thought there were many 2. I think there's only 2 bongies. I was just about to say I'd prefer not to facilitate today. That's what I was opening the mic for. So
yeah, it's Yuko, Nikki, Anna, Bongi, Michael.
I'm cool with that, sure.
Yeah, we could do that. Or out of these 4 people, is there somebody who would really like to take this role on today? That's also an option.
And yes,
sorry,
go, Michael.
I was going to step out. I've had a hectic week, which I'm happy to share in the check-in round. I'm completely out of touch with what's going on here, so maybe it would be better if I step out, although I very greatly appreciate the opportunity.
I don't know if that's too much of a problem that you're completely out of the space, since at least in my vision, facilitating is more like orchestrating what other people will bring to the room and the different energies. And actually, I was going to suggest that it's you, Michael, since Bongi, Nikki, and I have facilitated sessions before. We're constantly doing it, and it would be the perfect occasion to have like a new perspective, a new energy in the storytelling space. No pressure.
Yeah, let's do it. Everyone else is
Yay.
happy with that.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, being very new to this, how about a quick round of check-ins, because I think that's how we said we would start the session. And since that was Nikki's suggestion, would you like to start, Nikki?
Sure, thank you. I'm arriving to this place. How am I arriving? I was feeling a bit of anxiety when I arrived, but then Anna's meditation put me at ease. And I was noticing how all the food that I just ate quickly, very quickly, way too quickly, was just still landing and going through me, and how I really need to slow down and take a deep breath and take time with these very basic rituals during the day, how important that is. And yeah, for today, I'm really looking forward to starting with that video. I'm very curious what everybody is bringing, and I'm very open to jump into any other activity, but I'm specifically feeling the video montage to be quite promising. How about you, Cassius?
I am feeling good coming back to this space. I missed the last session, and so I feel like I am kind of resyncing with this space. And yeah, I feel like there's a lot of movement in creation, around creation for the ecosystem as a whole. So I'm feeling very connected with that. So I'm happy to be here to presence this and create this video as well, see how this unfolds organically, and see how we could do more of that. So, yes. How about you, Max?
Thank you, Cassius. Oh, I'm great. Had a call with Mark Wynn, beautiful person, and very joyful. And he brought up something that I kind of forgot to presence as well in the storytelling of what seeds is and how we can say like the different versions of what seeds is. And he very much brought the point of that a lot of people reference coming here as coming home, so that it's really a place to feel home, which is actually like so descriptive already, and yeah, very beautiful and spacious. So I love that. And personally, I'm like swamped. I have so many things that I'm doing, and just also I can't really keep up with what I would like to do. For example, for the inner space, I'm working on the drawing painting thingy, and I just like I need to dedicate really time for this, and it takes a long time, and I haven't got around to do anything of that. So yeah, it's but with time it comes. I'm super happy about the video. Love that. Yeah, I'm just good. So how Melanie, I would love to hear from you.
Thank you. I'm picking up the question how I arrived. I arrived by train, so I just came to the next place of my holidays, now in Alsace, which allowed me to have creativity time. I love trains for being creative, and to catch up with some videos I haven't seen because I'm traveling. And Max just spoke about coming home. Yes, this journey feels like coming home. And interestingly, my definition of coming home is changing. As I'm traveling right now, I come to different places, and in this hotel where I'm now staying, they prepared the room earlier for me because I said I have an important call at 1 o'clock, and they just came back with, yes, you can have the room earlier. So they said, feel at home, which is interesting, related to what you just said, Max. And Nikki's question, how can we be of service to you? I would like to come back later because I have no clue who is we and who is you. And let's see, Tina, how are you this morning? For you, it's morning as far as I remember.
It is, and the birds have just started singing just now, which is just that beautiful time of day. I don't have my video on because I ate something that made me feel really ill last night. So I'm just present with you and enjoying being here. It's one of my favorite places to be at the moment. Yeah, I would love to explore working together and defining that we and who. Apostle, how are you doing this? How are you arriving today?
I am arriving a little bit on the move. I probably won't be able to be for the whole call, but just felt a great, how to say, urge to join just a little bit. I'm feeling all right. I put on my socks that have lemons on them, and I sprinkled myself with rose water in order to like be amazing. So yeah, I like the initial space here, and we'll see how much would I be able to join for how much time. And let's pass it on to Bongi. That was amazing. The call cut off for me, and then all I heard was, I think it was my name. I'm arriving in a really, really receptive state. I've had a challenging 2 weeks in which I feel like I've let quite a few people down, including myself. And that's been really good to really recognize, yeah, how much is involved being in different spaces. And so I feel really vulnerable, but I'm really grateful that that's in a wholesome way, in a way that feels really good. So I kind of feel almost innocent in a strange way, and curious. And for me, the storytelling space, I think, along with all of that, I had quite a few jobs and responsibilities land on me last week, and it really pushed this desire to really just identify the places that I want to play. And there's only really 3 areas I've let go of a lot of the need to really keep up. And I think I don't have the capacity to really keep up with the whole of the RE space in every session, and the discourse space. So I've sort of come to a clarity of just being involved in writing and editing is kind of really where I want to play in this space. And definitely at some point, I'd love to sense deeper into what you're working on, Michael. I feel a lot of resonance. The book that you're talking about writing, and it's got a lot of overlaps with a personal pilot project that I'm working with. So yeah, that's how arriving, and I think with that, really just getting a sense of sort of getting back involved is that open curiosity and just sensing and listening and receiving, and feeling how things are now in this space. How about you, Ogi?
Hey everyone. I'm quite resonating with what you said, Bongi. I had like also very difficult past 2 weeks and felt that I'm pretty overwhelmed with with myself within the seeds also, and trying to find the place and kind of pushing different directions. So today I woke up and I was kind of, will I come? Won't I? Will I? Won't I? And then like, it's storytelling. Like, I love this space. So we came. But yeah, I'm like a bit lower energy today, considering the seeds. I've been like in a really burnout and just trying to find a new space and a new place for me that's going to be resonating with the amount of energy I have currently. How about you?
Yeah, I'm arriving to the space with certain level of like chillingness. I also love to be in the storytelling space, more into the with actually a very open heart and interest to hear everything that's going to be said and pointed, and hopefully I'll find some time to navigate towards the middle port later. So passing to I don't know.
Michael.
Yeah.
Michael.
Great. Yes, happy to step in. And then I think it's João after this. Oh, Javier as well. 2 more people left. Rachel can't talk, so she won't say anything today. I've had a surreal week, and I'm coming here with a very big ask for very big support. The we being Renaissance explorers. Let me try and contextualize that. So a week ago was my sister's birthday. We had a dinner together with a small group of friends, and in that call we decided, is South Africa ready yet as a nation to break free of some of the systems that are causing the people in the country to be incredibly imprisoned? And this was just at the start of the violence that you may have heard on mainstream media, which escalated very quickly. The short story is that we laid out a kind of mini strategy that said, you start off with a small group of people that agree to do something, and then you try and bring into orbit around those people a slightly bigger people who commit to doing something, and then slowly you take that out. So we launched a little campaign called Enough South Africa, Enough ZA, the idea being that any other country that in future wants to try this just puts their 2-country code behind that. And the essence of it is, we've had enough, whatever the enough is. On this call, I'm sure we know that there's a whole range of issues that we're concerned about. But so you're starting off very small, and the idea is that you questioning the legitimacy of every single system that we currently operate within. The ultimate point that you want to get to is to question banking and the entire global financial system, but you can't get there overnight. And this is taking all of the citizens in the country with. So it's an education campaign. Anyway, I'm taking too long on this. That opened all kinds of doors. Unbelievable stuff happened this week. So that's what's happening at a somewhat political level, and I've never been interested in politics, so I'm amazed that I'm involved in this, but some very big things happening. I have to be careful because this call is recorded, so I can't say too much. The second angle is the ESG thing. So a friend of mine who's in the UK has been asked to address an international gathering of chartered accountants, specifically around ESG. That's happening next week. He has 12 minutes. He's asked me to record a 1-minute video, which he will use up as part of his 12 minutes. And I've really been stewing with what's the best message to say in 1 minute, considering that these are all accountants, they're all working for big firms, they all know about ESG, but don't really know how to address it. So I'd like to maybe just quickly read this out because I think it's relevant to us. So the question is, how do we contextualize ESG? In 2021, the top 70 countries in the world will spend 1.8 trillion on defense. The UN has called to spend 6 trillion annually from now until 2030 to address climate change. The problem with ESG is that there is less transparency than there is on the spending of economic or military budgets. And so $6 trillion per year is going to be taken out of our pockets and spent on God knows what. And that's not on. There is zero transparency there. And then I end the video by saying, talking very briefly about how rather to fund the kind of local projects that we're talking about. So I ended by saying, don't pay taxes, fund projects. And the way it's framed has just come across quite nicely. So we're just refining the video around that. But that will go to an international audience of chartered accountants. So specifically, we're seeding the idea of ESG being a big deal, which they know but don't know what to do about. And secondly, funding these local projects. The next step, obviously, is token economics, like what Seed's saying. So just in the meantime, another author of a book who's focusing on humane economics has reached out from the UK. They're looking for a case study, preferably in the third world country. So South Africa seems well suited to do that. So just some very big things that are moving storytelling into a very real concrete space that is mind-blowing and scary and just a million emotions all rolled into one. And it's a brilliant opportunity, because if we can help craft a story here in this small, intimate space that has an impact on a country at the bottom end of the world, that potentially can set the stage for how other countries handle this transition. Nobody says it's going to be easy, but anyhow, I'll stop there. I've carried on way too long, but a very, very strange week for me, and yet full of opportunity. Thanks for hearing me out. Zhao, how about you?
Thank you, Michael. That's deep. I enjoy to explore this kind of things. Yeah, I'm arriving. Just wake up, freezing, and I had a full weekend with a lot of innovations, like, and learnings. Yeah, I'll stop here. I want to get the flow. I think Xavier didn't go.
Thank you, Joao. I'm landing with a heart full of fears, excitement, curiosity. I deeply resonate with Michael's words and intentions. I was in the midst of a huge grassroots movement about 10, no more, 15 years ago or something, or even more. And it failed to achieve its full potential because it stopped at preaching to the converted. I think the Seeds is doing really well. And I think the next stage in the growth is getting out of that niche and starting the communication with the unconverted, as Michael is trying to point. I would like to pass it to Ariane, please. Let us know who you are. Ariane Pleroma.
Yes, sorry. I'm more listening because I have a very tight schedule for the next weeks. We are planning a festival with 150 people. Then on the weekend I'm visiting a friend with a summer fest for his movement group. And then I'm also in this other project where there are lots of discussions where we might even collaborate with seeds. And right now I'm also doing a commission, an art piece for a friend. And yeah, lots of busy stuff, but I'm happy to be here. And who wasn't before?
No, have you gone? Yeah, I think it's just Anna left there. No?
Okay. Then Anna.
Thank you. I'm arriving very happy, very, very, very happy to be here. I loved the sharings before me, and I very much feel like, yes, this is at least a bit of my home, and you all are part of my people. So yes, I love being here. My mind immediately goes to putting things together and relating one thing to another, so I can't help it, so I'll just share. What Michael said and what Javier said, I was wondering, first of all, I was wondering, how can we serve you, Michael? How can the storytelling space in the Renaissance Explorers can serve what you brought here today? And what Javier said about not preaching to the choir, basically, I was wondering, how do we, basically this space is, and the Renaissance Explorers overall, is very much, at least in this early phase, focused on the Seeds guide, game guide. I'm not up to date as to what the naming is yet. I'll get there. And the game guide is the documentation, the set of guidelines as to how this entire system works, as to how do we actually achieve the vision that we have of new civilization, of regeneration for the planet. How does this economic model, new one, co-created, actually functions? And thinking about that, and thinking about how many people are actually going to dive into those intricacies, I'm wondering, how can we create pieces that are at the same time extremely precise and specific, because this is about how the system works, and it is a very complex system, and it's obvious that it is a complex system because it's a very crazy idea that we're all holding here together. So it needs to be complex so that it works. How do we do that in a way that speaks to the most people? How do we do that in a way that is actually accessible? So that's what's alive for me right now. And I guess that's how I will serve and be served by the storytelling space in the Renaissance Explorers.
Cool. Thank you, Anna. To me, it's a meaningful question that Melanie asked. Who is the we, and what is the serving that we're expecting? So maybe just to open that up, anyone with any other thoughts? Cassius, you shared something in the text. Do you want to maybe just speak to those thoughts?
Not sure what
Or
to
anyone
add.
else who wants to share what it means to be here. Cool, Cassius is here. Oh, yeah, you're right. But maybe for those who missed the text, just to verbal
Sure. Okay. From my perspective, the we is the space. Renaissance explorers started telling space, and the you is the individual. So the question goes both ways, right? How can this space be of service to me, and how can I be of service to this space? So I feel like that's how I see it.
Beautiful, thank you. Anyone else with a perspective to add? How do we serve each other? And for me, it's moving perhaps a little away from the game guide to very personally and very individually. How does this game that we're already playing, whether we know it or not, how does it affect us personally? And therefore, how can this group serve whatever we may be going through, good and bad? And Melanie, maybe even if you want to add, where's the tension? What's the cause for the question? What are some of the things that are not clear for you?
Less attention, it's more an opportunity. What comes up is a model I'm often working with, which says everyone is the source for an idea, a company, an initiative. And there is one specific person who knows the wisdom for that company. And if you hand over the company to the next person and you do not hand over this piece of wisdom, the second generation might still keep the business alive, and in the third generation it dies. So in the economic world, it's even more important to have these kind of ideas of resources. I, for myself, developed it further in a way where I say, we are all sources where, and I think I mentioned it in another call, where we are responsible to keep our water clean, and then we bring it into a river. And there are other people who have to make sure that the river keeps clean. So the we might be the stewards of the river, and the you or me, I'm responsible for my own source. And I personally work a lot with numbers, meaning Fibonacci. The formula of Fibonacci says, and most of the nature is built on it, then you have that you always start with 1, and then you go up to 2, 3, 5, and so on. And with my 1, I, in our words, would build an own 3-letter company where I'm still not knowing the difference between the HOT, the AO, and whatever. But that's something which I build in one direction. And still, on the other side, I bring something into that river. And coming back to Anna, for me right now, this river which we are feeding in that way is that game guide, whatever the name of the game guide is. And then it goes into an ocean, something else. But my little source also goes into another direction, which is a bit complex. But in the end, I built my little village around my source, and I give some water in the river. Very complex, very much image, but that's my view.
Beautiful, Melanie, thank you. Anyone want to add anything to those thoughts? I love the analogy of a river.
I would love to add a little piece. So for me, over the last couple of weeks, there's been a really contemplative space that I've held in honor of receiving, because we talk a lot about what we can give and what we need to give, and we're all giving, and I've sort of exhausted my resources in a giving capacity, and I came to a point where there just wasn't anything left to give in a way, and then to just kind of have this, not like realization that it's an inability to receive that that is kind of at the heart of it. And So I think in a lot of ways, when we're passing through from the old thing that we are used to doing and we want to fix it and we want to give it what it needs, and there has to be this kind of still point where you pass through and open your heart back up to receive the gift of seeds and the gift of the new economy and the gift of nature and the gift of our own beings in this new place. And it's an odd feeling. So I just want to bring that here today.
Beautiful. Bongi, I'm going to jump on you, but just to set some context, maybe you want to add to this. So Kath, earlier in the week or last week, recommended a recording of a call that was done by Emily Lane, I may have her name wrong, an Irish business and consciousness coach who was helping Samara through their identity. And she said something pretty profound in the call, in that what we are tasked on doing, and this is along the lines of the river analogy, is making sure that we don't contaminate a very pure message that is coming down to us. And very often we take that pure message and contaminate it in some way. So Bongani, I know by the end of the call you were pretty moved by it. If you want to, if you're able to, if you'd like to, maybe just comment on the call itself and how that's relevant to this space, taking into account Melanie's river analogy. Would you like to add anything?
I don't feel the need to add anything, and there's quite a few of us here who were on those calls, except to say that the experience of being there was very powerful, and I think the words encompassed a lot more than just a message in words. Yeah, don't feel the need to add anything.
Cool. Okay, so
Michael, I would like to come back to Anna's question, which was, how can we be of service to you? And in this moment in time, the you I define as Michael. And for me, coming back to this little village or maybe big town or maybe country you are building there, and when you were speaking in the beginning, I thought, what is my connection to South Africa? And being counted in elders, it might be wine, it might be knowing not much about that country, it might be like what I posted today, a very wrong understanding of something, which in my today's post was related to Napoleon, where I had to relearn a lot of things. You are part of this ecosystem, so we can transport things the river up or the river down. So wherever you are right now, we might, from our points where we are upscaled in the river somewhere, we can send you things down. But in my view, you need to say what you need from these different worlds. And I understood that you need especially bridges, some maybe with wood, some maybe with stone, some may be there forever, and some just to cross whatever kind of little river. So for me, you are one of those who help us to anchor these things in the real world. Meaning all our stories and all our ideas will only work if we have in the real world, where we can really prove that it works. On the other hand, the whole river is needed. So in my view, we need to transport some things to you, and we need to find out what you need most right now. And still the rest of this river is going on. The water is going on to another field, and we have also to acknowledge that the game guide is the piece that brought us here. But that doesn't mean that it expands to little other villages. And looking into the last 500 years, some villages were big at some point in time, and they became cities, and then they were no longer there. So might be that it goes a bit in that direction.
Beautiful. I have to say, from my personal perspective, that to me, that the applying seeds in any kind of real world situations is the most powerful stories we could be telling. And so personally, I feel a little bit of tension around this immense focus on the game guide. I can see why it's necessary, because we have to understand how seeds as a tool works. It's pointless handing a power tool to somebody without any kind of instructions and saying, go figure it out, and then they cut their arm off. So there's that very real need to focus on the mechanics of the tool that we happen to be given. And yet not everybody wants to know what those mechanics are. They want to know, here's my individual situation. How do I take this tool that you've offered me and apply it in the here and now? So personally, I'd love to explore how this group could support specifically what's happening in South Africa, but that then detracts completely from what Nikki proposed at the beginning, which is to possibly record a minute or two. So how do we do this? Maybe with a show of a thumbs up if we do the 1 or 2 minute video, and a hand clap if we talk about the specific situation in South Africa, and I can explain very specifically the kind of support I would need for that. Let's take a quick vote. A thumbs up for
I'm the person who loves doing both in the end. So I offered to do my video later on and bring it into the space later on. So then we could do even both. And I feel you also have to invite to a separate town hall at some point in time for the little village. So this own fireplace where you really stand up and you take the lead and say, hey, this is my fireplace, and in this fireplace we only speak about South Africa, for example. And anyway, today I'm very curious to learn more about what you have on your mind, but this is what I feel. We need a different fireplace to really be able just to focus on you. That would be my opinion.
South Africa, thank you for sharing that. The key about South Africa is that what is unfolding here is due for in every single other country in the world. We just don't know it yet. And there's a very particular sequence in which this is going to happen. Germany, fortunately, is further down the line. But what unfolds in South Africa right now and over the next 5 years is what will unfold in every other country around the world. Yeah, Western country, sorry, Western country. So it's relevant to us.
Agree, and that's why we should have the space to work on that. And staying for the last time, and then I will stay silent for a bit, was my view on this water thing. You can use the water at some point of the river to make electricity. And the electricity goes then to the village, and then the water goes further, meaning these people working on the game guide have to have enough capacity to do also that. So we can let some water go on and flow and still get the electricity, which is desperately needed in South Africa. So, and now I stop for a moment.
Anna, do you want to jump in?
I was just about to suggest something along the lines of Melanie. I was very inspired last night to watch this video created by the Communication and Design Circle, an interview of Naila Fay to Anna here. And I thought maybe this group can kind of swarm and sub-split, and some of us can go to that Communication and Design Circle and work on that South Africa global question. Just an idea.
Beautiful. Anna?
Yeah, I can't raise my hand actually, since I'm the host. I just noticed, so I'll be putting my hand up, like if we were at school. I raised my hand actually to talk about the part that you mentioned about the game guide, Michael, but I'll begin with when Melanie suggested of like having a separate fireplace, having a e-town hall, actually, I do think this would deserve its own e-town hall, not only in the Renaissance Explorers. So I'd be very happy to, if you give me like a date, I'll put it in the Renaissance Explorers calendar. Maybe it's easier to put it in the Renaissance Explorers calendar, but I think it should be on the Seeds calendar. I think it could be for the entire Seeds community. Actually, what you're bringing here, I think it's incredibly relevant for the whole Seeds community. Which brings me to my point of the game guide and of the Renaissance Explorers. Lamplighter of Storytelling Space hat on, holding the purpose alive. We are here as Renaissance Explorers gathered around that game guide, not because it's the game guide, not because it's a text, but because that encompasses all the wisdom, the knowledge, and the design of the very economic system that we're here to co-create, and not even caring about the economic system per se, but that economic system that is going to bring forth the dream, the vision that we all have of this new earth, of this new civilization, of this regeneration, and of this regenerative renaissance, using the meme that we always do. So for me, when you say, for instance, Michael, that not everyone is going to get interested in reading all the nitty-gritty and all the intricate parts of it, that's true. However, that's the role of the explorers in the space. That's like what we're here for, quite literally. And in the storytelling space, more specifically, our role is to get excited about that. Well, our role. Usually we are people who got here because we are excited about that nitty-gritty, about how everything works. And maybe we see some things that we think could work better. And that's what we're also here for with exploration groups, like propose changes, actual changes right now to the game guide. And in the storytelling space, more specifically, we're also, I'm going to say responsible, but please, none of us take this in a very heavyweight kind of sense, but responsible for decentralizing this, for making this accessible, for making it so that anyone who doesn't want or has time to go over that game guide, or who's just not interested in like reading 140-page documents to understand, or watch I don't know how many hours of videos, so that they can, in little glimpses of knowledge or glimpses of wisdom, understand how it works, understand how they can function with it. And that it can be done in different levels. It can be people who just want to know, like, okay, I just want to use this. Awesome. This is part of our role here. Oh, I want to use this and I kind of want to like understand what I'm doing. Awesome. That's another level. I want to use it, understand what I'm doing, and be able to explain that to someone else. That's another level. And so on and so forth. And we can do this here because we are the people who are passionate about understanding all that nitty-gritty details and going and focusing on the design of it, either the design that already exists or the one that we would like to see changed. We are those people, and we are those people in the storytelling space who kind of committed to making that joyful and fun for others who don't have the same interest as we do. So yeah, that's why I raised my hand.
Beautiful. And to fully support what you've just explained, because the work we're doing here enables how that tool is used. So I couldn't have the conversations around South Africa unless I had a reasonable understanding of what SEEDS is trying to do. I don't for a minute have a full understanding, but I have enough to be dangerous to propose some ideas to people here in South Africa. So without that knowledge, without the game guide, none of that would be possible. So fully support what you're saying, Anna. Tina, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just wanted to share an insight and kind of weave it back into one of the assignments Anna gave earlier as we gathered to come together in groups, get to know each other. And so I invited Rachel and Xavier to work together. And because I sort of identified one of the most essential ways to sort of make sense of seeds to myself was to actually practice the exchange of seeds. And so I did a small event where I paid people to play a game with me involving one of my products, which happens to be seeded with microorganisms. And I sort of came into a bottleneck with that because it was an amazingly fun thing to do. We set up the wallet, we did, you know, I paid people to do it. I paid them to follow up, and all of that worked well, but it's the other part of it. It's the flow, it's that return that ends up being an interesting challenge. And so I've got a new game, and I'm proposing, I would like to be helpful in creating and playing games here at Lala as a proof of concept kind of a thing. But one thing I really recognized was that it's important to practice this new way of expressing abundance in our economy and our flow, which is different. That it's the opposite game. We're literally playing the opposite game. Everything that we're used to, it's almost like we have to do the opposite. So I'm identifying one of the most critical parts of this exchange is hand to hand. We have to practice hand to hand. It has to be an intimate transaction between us and someone else first before we can take it even to a country. So like, I don't know, parlor games, small groups of people getting together to do exchange. I think it would be powerful. I don't know, I could keep going. Natural farming, what I practice, it's an interesting lens to look through and trying to make this economy real personally, because you can talk about natural farming all day long, you can teach it all day long, but until you're actually there tasting it, smelling it, touching it, experiencing it, you just don't understand it. And part of that is because it's so aligned with natural systems, and nature works in an abundance way that we're not used to, because we're used to extracting from nature. We're not used to learning from nature. So anyway, because I hear you, Michael, on wanting to affect this really big macro change. And I'm also wanting to protect this little inner space of practice that might inform what we do really, really beautifully. So hand to hand. That's all I have to offer right at the moment.
It's very powerful, Tina, because none of the macro scale change is going to happen until we can do that one-on-one exchange, the looking in the eye, the hugging each other, you know, stuff that we used to do not even a year ago. Now we can't do it. So yeah, completely get that. We've got half an hour left. We were going to, I think an important thing is to at least practice these 1 or 2 minute videos. So maybe if we use the next half hour just in recording some things, maybe we don't intend using them at this stage, but breaking the ice of doing this, like Tina has just said, breaking the ice of doing that one-on-one exchange in small game-like environments is key to getting the momentum going. So shall we do that in the last half hour? I think that's my suggestion. And if we want to do that, I'm going to propose that we hand over the baton over to Nikki to facilitate the last half hour. Would you be happy doing that, Nikki?
Sure, more than happy to do that. Are there any objections in moving forward with this? Seems like no. Okay, then I wonder if everyone has seen those questions that Michael has proposed. If not, I'll put them in the chat so we can each choose what we'd like to practice answering to. And we can all bring, go for it.
While you're pulling that up, Nikki, the questions were more to plant a seed of something to say. So they're not prescriptive in any way. It's really trying to get at what difference has knowing about seeds had on your life. So if there's a different question you want to answer, that's the whole idea, is just come up with interesting ways of answering the question, why should I bother with seeds? There's so much else on my plate, so many other ways in which my attention is distracted. Why bother looking at seeds? That's really what we're trying to get at in these videos, I think.
Yeah, so if everyone can just browse through these questions, if a new question arises, that's also fine. You don't have to stick to these, but whatever calls you, whichever calls you, you can pick and just sit with it and feel into it. And if you're ready, we can count back from 3. So we have leave enough space for cutting out that little piece at the editing. And I just suggested an extra one. What did seeds bring to your life? Beautiful. I see Melanie's hand up. Would you like to start?
Just a question. Is someone in this group able to do little 1-minute videos out of that later on? Because if we just then put the question in it, then we can put them together as a kind of Word document or something. So you are. Perfect.
Yes, I'm happy to do that.
Perfect.
And just for logistics, Nikki, do you want us to say our name, where we're from, anything like that, or just answer the question? No context provided in the recording.
Oh, that's a good question. I imagined, when I'm imagining the montage of the video, I imagine a question appearing on the screen, and then like different people are answering to it without repeating the question. So the viewer sees what they're answering to at a time, and then like that. But I mean, it can be in another way.
What I think might be useful is showing in the videos how international the movement is. And so my question was, does the speakers say where they're from, or will that come up as text, or both?
Yeah, maybe as text, but we can also say it and see how that comes together, and we can always, edit it out. Let's see how that feels.
I would personally not be super, like if anyone wants to say where they're from, awesome. Don't feel pressure to say where you're from, especially if you're going to name a country.
Yes, and the accents will tell a lot of people where we are from.
Yeah. But where's yours from, Javier?
Accent. I'm from Wonderland.
I also want to point out that it might be okay to just speak in your native language, however you like, because we can always translate it, and that's also beautiful.
I like that, yes.
I love that, but no swearing.
Okay, so does anyone feel called to give it a go?
I'm happy to jump in knowing that this is a practice session, because I haven't put on my makeup and done all the bits and pieces that I would otherwise do. So what do you want to do, Nikki? A countdown, or do I just dive in?
Well, I think, yeah, I'll do a countdown and then you start. You ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
So I'm Michael. I came across seeds many years ago, and the biggest impact it has had on my life is opening up to possibilities that can be done. So prior to coming across seeds, I was very trapped in how do we solve these big and meaningful problems that the world faces. And even though seeds now isn't applied directly to solving those problems, it's created new ways of thinking about how the world works. And that to me has been life-changing, beyond description. It's just been so powerful and so meaningful to me. And I look forward to seeing where this goes.
Wonderful, thank you.
it's always daunting doing something like this. So this is just a practice session. Dive in and make mistakes.
I can go next because my stomach is acting up, so I'm not going to be here much longer in the video world. All right.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Tina, vision holder for Lala Gardens. I've been making the transition to an ecology that supports life for quite some time now. And when I encountered seeds as an economy that basically puts into practice the opposite game, it suddenly made what I do visible. And not only visible, but shareable and practiced with other people doing work that supports our planet. That's it.
Thank you. Wonderful.
I can go.
3.
Oh, I'll do it in Portuguese.
Oh.
Why not? I'm not used to speaking Portuguese with you all here. Okay. Okay, go.
3, 2, 1, go.
O que o SIDS trouxe na minha vida foi entender que já existem pessoas co-criando e manifestando no mundo um sistema econômico, financeiro, de organização social e de governança que são exatamente compatíveis com a visão que eu tenho para o nosso futuro aqui na Terra, enquanto humanidade.
Wow, that sounded beautiful. I had no idea what you were saying.
I'll put subtitles on.
What other languages do we have? We have German, Spanish.
I was just going to say, Javier, we got to have Spanish and German at least.
I wanted to show off my thick, sexy accent. Okay, I'll show my thick, sexy Spanish then. Okay, Nikki, give me the countdown.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Hola. Seeds trae esperanza y la promesa de mucha abundancia y de una conexión auténtica en todos los niveles y con una profundidad que muy pocas veces se puede experimentar en otros contextos de este mundo tan oscuro. Seeds son las semillas de luz y las islas del futuro que entre todos podemos co-crear. Gracias, fuerza, valor, imaginación.
Yay, wonderful.
Yeah.
That was so beautiful. Thank you.
You understood. You understood. Oh, somebody understands me. At long last. Obrigado, muito obrigado. Obrigado. Oh.
Actually, one thing just came to me that we are probably recording this though in like the shared screen thing. So like, you know, I mean, it's quite small and the names are there. So it might not be actually for.
That's why we're practicing.
Yeah, it's just a test.
Yeah, but I do have to say that like, sometimes stuff just comes out and it's beautiful, and then it's kind of sad that it's like we can't really use that right now.
I am a musician, and it happens to me all the time. I do a take, an amazing take, and I'm never recording it. I'm just doing, I'm just gonna practice a little bit before. Why didn't I record that?
Otherwise, we can make just an audio version of this,
Cool.
Yeah, or we put some other images in while we are speaking. Images that are related to what we are speaking about.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, like a wild. When I speak, I would like to have a wild bull running against the camera. Yeah, this could be for the podcast, so somebody else can be some other images. Max, go in German. Hey.
Just before you go, can't the host pin the person who's speaking and then that goes to the recording?
I can, but now it's a bit late.
For the next ones.
Okay, but I'm still going forward with the idea of using what we had already. I think it will be beautiful nonetheless, either with people reacting and all the little faces, or putting images while we're speaking. Maybe that's going to be less zoomy and more pleasant for someone else watching.
Melanie, would you like to add there?
No, you can go first. Du oder ich als Nächster? Mir egal. Du kannst starten.
Actually, I still want to share something before that. One that the recording on Zoom usually is bad anyway, so I would have recorded myself through a phone either way. And I asked the question of which question, because if we don't know the question, we can't put that in usually into the thing. So that's why I just had that. Anyhow, auf Deutsch. Niki?
All right, Max. 3, 2, 1.
Hallo zusammen. Als ich Seeds begegnet bin, öffnet sich eine neue Welt für mich. Und in dieser neuen Welt hatte ich das Gefühl, ich konnte spielen und tun und lassen, was ich wollte und meine Fantasie vollkommen zum Ausdruck bringen. Und stattdessen habe ich gesehen, dass in dieser Welt wird mir gezeigt, was ich mir nicht vorstellen konnte und mit welchen Menschen ich nie wusste, dass ich zusammen sein konnte und spielen konnte. Und es hat mir eine neue Familie geschaffen, ein neues Zuhause. Vielen Dank.
Thank you.
I can go next. I also do it in German.
Okay.
You can count.
3, 2, 1.
Wenn ich Seeds mit einem Wort erklären müsste, dann würde ich sagen Pilgerreise. Es ist eine Reise zu einem Ziel, was ich kenne, aber der Weg ist mir völlig unbekannt. Ich weiß, ich möchte wohin und ich treffe überall spannende Menschen am Wegesrand. Manchmal gehen wir einen Tag gemeinsam, manchmal gehen wir über Wochen gemeinsam. Manche sind schneller als ich, manche langsamer, manche begegne ich nach ein paar Wochen wieder. Und gleichzeitig haben wir alle ein Ziel. Wir suchen die Essenz eines sinnvollen Lebens. Und trotzdem ist für jeden von uns der Weg unterschiedlich. Deswegen ist, glaube ich, für mich im Moment Pilgerreise das Wort, was es am besten beschreibt. Danke.
That was so beautiful, people. You don't know what you missed.
Tell us. Did you speak about the river?
know about a pilgrimage where you just walk, you have the same place where you want to go, but everyone goes in a different speed, sees different things at the road, is sometimes having companions for 1 day, for 2 days, and then they meet each other again some weeks later. And we all have somehow the same desire to find something new, to create something new. So that was the essence.
Like the El Camino Santiago. Javier.
You have done Jacob's Weg. That's what I was gonna say, yeah?
Yeah, that one or many others. As I'm currently traveling, I feel like you have to walk the path again. We have to walk again. So we have to help us remembering our ways to walk. And that's why the pilgrimage is currently so present. It's not just Jacob's Weg. It's, we have to walk again to show others a path. And you can't do it by flying or other means of transportation.
We have been walking for 500,000 years. It's only 5,000 years sitting in our bums and chairs. We are walkers.
Yes, and to add on the dream lines somehow. We are walking on lines which have been there for centuries and longer.
Yeah, the song lines, the ley lines. That's it.
That's great. I'm happy to go next. I guess we're still missing Hungarian, so to fill in that gap. Oh, that's so strange. I don't speak Hungarian anymore. Can someone come back?
Yes. 3, 2, 1.
Az én nevem Niki, és a kedvenc dolgom, a kedvenc, amit a Seeds-ről elmondanék, az az, hogy ez egy olyan közösség, ahol önmagam lehetek, mindenféle maszk nélkül, és minden nap egy új lehetőséget hoz. Egy olyan úton haladunk, amit senki nem ismer, és amit ahogy haladunk, ahogy sétálunk, nekünk kell lefektetni. Ezért az egész út, ez a kollektív út tele van ismeretlennel, kalanddal, amit közösen élünk át. Amit nem szeretek a Seeds-ről, vagy a Seeds közösségből, az az, hogy könnyen el lehet benne veszni. És könnyen elveszti magát az ember, hogyha nem figyel oda. De ez még szerencsére nem történt meg velem.
That was really cool. Thank you.
None of us have any idea what you were saying, but it sounded
No.
beautiful.
Gibberish. Wow. It was just gibberish, actually.
Wow.
I want to go on Serbian.
Yeah.
This is so fun. So glad that I came. Who's doing the countdown?
3, 2, 1, go.
Seeds. Seeds je jedna prelepa komuna koja potpuno otvara nova vrata ka tome šta mi kao ljudi možemo da kreiramo na ovoj planeti Zemlji. To je jedan novi ekosistem, to je jedan novi finansijski sistem, to je jedan prostor gde možemo da vežbamo i da dostignemo zajedno sa drugima potpuno nova i prelepa stanja uma i razvoj mogućnosti koje mi možemo da stvorimo kao ljudi u ovoj komuni mogu da se razviju i mnogo sam srećan što sam deo SIDS. That's it.
Again, we have no idea what you said, but it sounded awesome. I've got to tell you, Ogi, so since you're from Serbia, Popovic, I forget his name, Sergio Popovic, who helped lead the overthrow of Slobodan Milosevic's regime in 2000. He ran a course on how to do this, and we are using his material here in South Africa. So it's good to know that there's another Serbian that I can count on if we need some help.
Wow, I had absolute no idea about that happening. But this is a very nice information that Serbs would love. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, Serbian
I think
speciality, overthrowing governments.
I think it was called Otpor. I don't know how to say it, but your history is very rich on that. Otpor.
On every 10 years, we have a war.
We have a few more minutes if somebody still wants to go. Or have we all gone? Almost.
Okay, I will do in Portuguese. One more.
Okay, you ready?
No, let me think. Okay, a few things are coming.
3.
So,
Go ahead.
para mim, SIDS é uma jornada muito incrível de superação de todo o nosso potencial como ser humano aqui na Terra. Da gente poder ser um com a natureza e ser um com a nossa comunidade. A forma como a gente pode transformar todos os recursos financeiros que existem em recursos tangíveis, onde uma comunidade aprova a ação e a regeneração que acontece num local, numa comunidade. Para mim, SIDS é uma jornada de transformação pessoal que vem para Okay, I lost myself. I will try better. I couldn't, sorry. It's just because it's a lot of things. I want to answer like all these questions because, yeah, I think of my background to really searching these new tools that we have to coordinate ourselves and create our own system that's more in our present moment and address for the needs that it's really now it's happening. It's not something that we carry from others' mistakes or from the collective mistakes. We are actually being group engaging again to look for ourselves and for the planet, and with any holding concepts, but bringing the new for this world, I think. Yeah, that's it.
Even just the small part that you said in Portuguese, João, was so beautiful that I would very much like for us to keep it.
Okay. I have to go now. I have another meeting, very important, but I appreciate very much. One of the things that I want to express, like, I feel that we as a storytelling space and Renaissance explorers, I feel as Anna says, to invite everyone who is willing to create the design that we think that we should create for this experience, because we as ourselves doing what we are wanting to do, right? And this designing for the experience for the course of Renaissance Explorers, I see that some gaps that everyone maybe feels, but how we create ways or designing ways where people just come in and understand what they can contribute and where they and that's something that I'm thinking, and I have some suggestions. I had say in outer space, like we need maybe a mirror board for the whole Renaissance Explorers, and I think that just using this one that's there and change the extent for Renaissance Explorers, and then they start just keeping in apart, and we use for really designing and bringing ideas asynchronically, everyone who feels, because these dynamics where we are using, I believe that goes beyond these spaces. The storytelling is beyond just this 1 hour here, and outer space is beyond the 1 hour there from my perspective. And we can working these ideas together more. I have to go. Thank you so much, people. I love this. Thank you, Michael. I want to search more of the other and everyone. See you.
Yeah, I'll jump in really quick to bounce off of what João said. I think it was yesterday, that we had a meeting with Nikki where we started talking about creating these slides with little Loom videos to explain what has gone by in the Renaissance Explorers during the week, and so that we can spread that around the seeds ecosystem. And this, for us, is already like the seed of an idea of how to like structure the course, the co-learning course that will come after this first cohort, or however, this journey that we're all in together. And I think it's a great idea from João to actually bring this, like next week, bring this to the space, show you all what we're planning and what we're doing with Nikki, and ask for feedback, for advice, for ideas. So yeah, thank you, João, when you watch the recording. Thank you.
Cool. So since we're out of time, shall we start wrapping up? Nikki, did you want to do anything else around the videos?
No, I think it's just perfect as it is for now. I think it also, my intention was really just to get started with this and show to everybody that actually it's not as scary as it seems, and maybe now we can just jump into it in our own time and just record.
Perfect.
So great. So does anybody know about the podcast? When is the podcast coming? Nobody working on that?
Maybe you?
No. Okay, I will. Okay, I'll get on the case if you, Melanie, partner with me. And if we lose our audience after 2 minutes or 20 minutes, then we pass the job to somebody else. We're losing our audience very, very quickly now. Look at how boring we are.
It's the end of the session, that's why. But I love this idea. Okay, Javier and Melanie starting a podcast with news from the Renaissance Explorers.
Okay, but only in August. I'm still traveling, so I'm just taking some hours off and sending my partner to museums. He's art historian, so it's not a problem.
Brilliant. He can jump into the team then. An art historian is really, really crucial.
Yeah, I learn a lot right now about us while speaking to him.
Yeah. Social historians, art historians, we have that coupled with neuroscience and a few other things, and that's the cocktail. Does anybody else wants to do? Ariane, you want to do a German? Another? No.
I'm afraid we're running out of time, so maybe it's better to just start checking out.
Yeah, right.
Cool. Beautiful session. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Nikki. Thanks, Anna.
Great.
See you
Thanks
next
a
week.
lot.
See you
Thank
next
Ciao.
you. Love you all.
Bye bye.
Beijos.
Bye.
Beijo, beijo, beijo.